Green flags in gay relationships. Hey guys, Michael Pizzulo here, psychotherapist in West Hollywood, working mostly with gay men and gay couples. So we talk a lot about what's wrong with relationships and what's wrong with dating, particularly in the gay community, but I want to talk to you about what's right. And I've already done a video actually on green flags, so I'll put the link in the description, but I have a few more that I want to share with you. And these are signs that the relationship is going well, or that the guy that you're dating might be someone that you want to continue pursuing, particularly from a gay perspective. So let's get into it. So the first one is he doesn't brag about sex. So we talk a lot about in the gay community about, someone who is comfortable with their sexuality and has overcome shame and, finding a partner who has come to some sort of sense of integration and acceptance about themselves. And it can be difficult to discern that because it's such a personal thing. But I think one sign that someone is insecure about their sexuality is if they're bragging about it, if they're telling boastful stories, if they're going out of their way to share, unnecessary details. To me, that often reads as someone who is insecure and trying to overcompensate. And I think that's generally the case. I think men that are comfortable with their sexuality talk about it kind of honestly, the good, the bad, the funny, the embarrassing, the awesome, the terrible, whatever it is. But they're not always painting this picture that it's all fantastic and they're doing a great job and whatever it is. So if you notice that he's constantly boasting about sex, that's one thing that I would steer away from. But if you notice that he doesn't do that, I think that's a green flag. The second one would be that there is no competition. So in relationships, you want someone who is not fearful of your growth. And a lot of times people think of that in terms of, I don't want someone who's going to hold me back and stifle me. And that's true. But I think oftentimes when you have a partner who is fearful of your evolution, it's not so much that they don't want you to succeed, but they have anxiety about their attachment to you and they view you evolving as them potentially losing you, rather than they just don't want you to succeed and they don't want you to do well. So I don't think it often comes from a malicious place, but still, it's not great. So you want someone who is, really open to the idea of you growing and feels not threatened by that, not anxious about that, and trust that you're going to be securely attached to them and committed to them throughout whatever, growth and evolution you have, career-wise, personal interests, who you are, whatever it is. The third would be that they don't view compromise as a negative thing. So in relationships, compromise is inevitable. But it's interesting because some people, when you talk about relationships, they're like, oh man, we have to share, I have to go to his family this year, I have to do this, I have to do that. And they view it in a very negative lens. And I think a healthy gay man in a healthy gay relationship, compromise isn't viewed as a negative thing. It's viewed as part of the experience that's actually fun and interesting. And, they don't view it in such like a, oh man, I'm bogged down by this. So if you find someone who doesn't view compromise as a negative, I think that's a really strong sign that someone that you might want to continue pursuing. The fourth would be that they are willing to let things go. So yes, everyone should have standards for how they're treated and boundaries and so on and so forth, but you also want to be with someone who is appropriately forgiving. And they're not going to put you in the doghouse forever if you make a mistake, because we all are, and we want someone who is appropriately forgiving, who will let us off the hook, who will understand that we've made mistakes and, isn't keeping score of all the things that we've done wrong just to sort of, use those against us later on when they need to. So you want someone who has a forgiving aspect to them and is willing to let things go and not hold them against you just, for a life sentence. And the fifth one would be that he doesn't publicly criticize you. So I really think that, obviously couples can talk about their frustrations with one another, but it should be private or maybe with a therapist or something like that. But I don't think couples should ever be criticizing each other in front of other people. You can poke fun at each other and there can be humor and so on and so forth. But when it's a real critique, I think that is just universally not a good idea. It sets the other person up to be, embarrassed. It puts your friends in an uncomfortable position because they have to watch this. And ultimately, I just think it's a really unhealthy way to litigate disagreement. So you want someone who, at a party, in, you know, mutual friend groups, is never going to throw you under the bus. Again, humor is fine, poking fun of you is fine, if like, oh, he's always late, or oh, he's whatever, forgets to do the laundry, who cares? But real issues, I don't think should ever be litigated publicly and should always be kept sacred and behind closed doors, and something that you're really clear with each other that we're never going to embarrass the other person in front of other people. So that, I think, is a really healthy thing and another important green flag to look for. So those are 5 green flags I think are really, really important. Let me know what you guys think. As always, I'm sure we could come up with 50 if we keep thinking this through and putting them together. But I do think that they're important to think about, because we often focus on, you know, what people are doing wrong. So it's good to focus on what guys are doing right, particularly in the gay community and from a gay perspective. As always, please comment, let me know what you think. If you have other, you know, green flags that you've thought of, I'd love to hear them. And if you want to, you know, hear more content about gay men and gay couples, please subscribe to my channel, Therapy for Gay Men. And if you want to work with me directly as a therapist or as a coach, you can book a free call with me in the description. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.